Hey, Tariq, let's talk about the draft. So it was a little bit different, the whole virtual draft thing. What are your impressions of what we saw last week?
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, and the reason why I think I liked it is because it gave me something to look forward to when NFL does come back. I enjoyed, and this is going to be a little interesting. So when they go to location, whenever we go back, whether it's Vegas or whatever, I'm going to be interested to see if these players actually do the selection process at their home. There seemed to be more family and engagement. I enjoyed the stories that they were telling. I mean, you can still do interviews through Skype or whatever it is, but I enjoyed watching sort of the family interaction and some, memes later that happened during that moment live in the comfort of their own home. So I think a lot of players may be taking this from this moment on and skipping the whole process of going to New York or Chicago and actually doing it in their home, in their living room.
Or strike a balance. I think you'll see less of it, I think, with people being invited to New York. Pat, what do you think?
I really enjoyed it. I watched almost every second of it all weekend long, because like Tariq said, there was nothing else going on. What I did find interesting, I thought the presentation was great, everything was cool. I found interesting what the NFL thought we wanted to know about these guys being drafted, because apparently you can't be drafted into the NFL without the most horrific story you've ever heard about your family being broadcast to everyone. It got to a point, as tragic as these stories were, where I thought they were making it up for comedic time. It just kept getting worse and worse. And the details they would share, it's a horrific story, but one guy who was drafted, I forget who it was, his father passed away, which is something you can say, he lost his father at 15. But then they decided to go into detail by sharing that his father passed away by slipping on gravel and falling into a busy street and being hit by a car. I don't know this person. It's a late round draft pick. What are you doing sharing this information with me? And does this kid know? For example, was it wasn't CeeDee Lamb. It was, who was the other receiver out of Alabama there, Tariq? I'm blanking right now. Whose mother was dealing with drug addiction for 15 years. Yes, Jerry
Judy.
Mother was dealing with drug addiction for 15 years. And they used that as a bullet point. ESPN had to apologize for it. The only thing you have to do is find something else to fill time with, so I wasn't so sad watching all 3 days of the draft.
I like the human interest story is great. I like it. I like the human interest story end of it. But Duffy, there were some uncomfortable moments that my wife and I were watching the draft, and she kind of was like, "Oh my gosh, it took you away from football." Made you want to root for the kid without knowing the kid. Ruiz is the one that we were talking about before, who was helping a pedestrian on the side of the road. Yes. And it's a part of the story. It tells the sports story. It makes the story more human. But I would have rather it come from his mouth and his detail. Like they did sort of profiles on these athletes. Let him tell that story.
That was a ploy for the female viewers, and I wonder if maybe that was part of the reasoning.
Okay, but to Tariq's point, they're bullet pointing these things 4.5 40-yard dash was, Pac-10 second all-team wide receiver. Father caught on fire and then was eaten by a shark. What horrible, don't put it in the bullet point, man.
No.
And if you didn't have one, you invented one, like chronic halitosis.
Terrible. It's just it was unnecessary. I think they did a good job. Goodell looked a little bit stiff, but I mean, listen, given the circumstances, I get that. I think the dynamic of all of these athletes at home with their families was interesting to watch.
Was anyone else waiting to see Goodell shirtless by the 7th round, right? Because he slowly relaxed as the rounds went on. It was suit and then just sport coat and then sweater and then T-shirt. And then I was waiting to see tassels by the last 10 picks. It got really ridiculous.
I just wanted him to come out in a bathrobe. That would have been the best. That would have been the best. I mean, a draft pick did. Why not him?
That's why I didn't watch the last rounds. The fear of what might happen.